Thanks everyone for coming, and you are right, Carl, there is a rumor about an awards in AC, and I'm putting my phone on silent now before we get started. But very excited to have everyone here. This topic today, dominating a town, is a question that I get asked often, so it sparked the idea of doing a training around it. For those of you that don't know me, I will give you a little bit of my story. I started in real estate in 2004. But a little unconventional. I started off as an ISA. So I was basically a real estate telemarketer. Fast forward, 4 years later, my company closed and I didn't know what to do. One of the best things that happened to me, and very strange things at the same time, is I got my broker's license after being a real estate telemarketer, and no sales, no listings ever, didn't even have an MLS, but because I was full-time for 4 years, in real estate, I was able to get my broker's license. So, 2008, I get my broker's license. What do? I start selling homes. And with the market then, it was a little bit challenging to say the least for those of you that were not in the business then. But I winded up going where the buyers were. So in that market, you had retail buyers, but very few. They were all looking for, there was a $7,000 or $8,000 tax credit. Anyone remember that? Yep. So they were looking for the tax credit. And I'll never forget, because we were getting inbound leads. I was with a progressive real estate company owned by LendingTree. And the day the tax credit expired, the phone stopped ringing. And this is LendingTree that had a real estate brokerage. So we were getting all of these leads because people were online looking for mortgages and they would funnel the leads to us. The phone stopped ringing and I had to shift gears. I didn't have retail buyers. I didn't have a pipeline. I was a year into the business and I needed to make this work. So I realized, you know what? I tried REOs, by the way. Spent a month signing up with every bank and I think I got one listing and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't like the admin and the paperwork and all this process to get one listing. So I realized, how else can I scale and generate more listings and buy-side deals without cold calling, door knocking, farming. I didn't have the time to do it. I didn't have the patience and I needed to scale. So I started working with investors and I realized rather than going on 5 listing appointments to generate 5 listings, you can have 1 listing appointment. If you do a good job, you'll get 5 listings from that investor. And that was my model. And because they were investors, we were buying where the numbers worked, where you had distressed properties. And it took me to a couple towns where I bought and sold a lot of homes with my group of investors. So I was able to grow my market share organically at the time through selling a lot of homes. 2008, 9, 10, 11, prices were great. It's a bull market. Obviously, people sat the sidelines that were homeowners. There was no equity. 1 out of 5 homes in the US was upside down, et cetera. But investors were a dime a dozen. They were everywhere. So I sold a lot of homes that in turn turned around to become listings for me. So we're going to talk about a little bit. This is more my story, and then I'll get into details of what you guys can do in today's market. But I will say, one of the best things that I did that helped me propel my business was just the organic snowball effect and compound effect of selling a lot of homes. Second thing is I had to learn the areas. Good or bad, regardless of price point, regardless of style home, regardless of the neighborhood dynamics, everything sells. Everything sells at the right price, right? And I got this from something maybe 10 years ago. There's only 2 types of neighborhoods. Does anyone know what those are? There's great and up and coming. That's it, right? It's either a great neighborhood or it's up and coming. And you have to sell those up and coming areas. So obviously we can't overindulge on what's going on, but we can learn the areas. There's always something good, whether it's a train, whether there are new schools that are being built. There's always something good that you can pull and sell and explain to the buyer of why that town makes sense. Frankly, sometimes that's what's in their budget, right? It's better to have some equity and own a house than to pay rent forevermore, because if you do the math after 10 years, you have nothing to show for it. Lastly, the other thing that worked for me was showing up. If you do enough open houses, you do enough showings, preview enough homes, you have to be present. I have a saying, opportunity dances with those on the dance floor. If you're sitting to be a wallflower against the wall, no one's dancing with you. You're going to miss the opportunity. So you have to show up. You have to be active. I've heard and I've been parts of offices, especially in 2008, 9, and 10, where agents would overqualify the buyers over the phone, not want to take them out, pretty much be the gatekeeper. And unless you do everything my way, I'm not taking you out. And then the agents would sit around the office. You don't make money sitting around the office, right? So I learned right away, why not go meet those people? Good things happen when you're out meeting people. There's been several times in the last year where one of my agents have said, hey, I was out previewing this property, and guess what happened? Seller comes out, asks me what I was doing in that home. Fast forward, I got a listing from it, right? But if you're not actively out in the market, that's not gonna happen from you sitting in the office. So you gotta show up. You have to be present. You have to get involved. That's what worked for me. And a little bit about why this presentation came about. At the point where I was really focused on real estate and just an agent, I was closing a deal every 5 to 6 days. In 3 towns in a county that I never lived in, didn't grow up in, never went to school there. Frankly, till today, I still have to GPS wherever I'm going door to door. Funny story, I had an investor about 2 years ago jump in my car because he was in his work truck to go scout 2 listings. And he gets in my car, which is rare, and I have to put it in the GPS. It's like 3 blocks away. I had no idea. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, we're going to this other house. He's like, yeah, you just go here, you make a left and a right. And I was like, oh. And he asked me, true story, he asked me, he's like, don't you live somewhere here? And I'm like, no, don't even live in the county. And he's like, oh my gosh, well, your presence. And that's what I built because I was doing these 3 things. So let's get into what works today. I'm going to start off by talking about what doesn't work. Let's look at the elephant in the room and get it out, because I hear this every day. And if one other person asks me about a billboard, I'm going to throw a chair. And I know it's the new trend, and I know it's fun, it's exciting. Everyone wants to see themselves up there. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. But guys, there's not a one-trick pony. There's no magic bullet. There's not one thing you can do to dominate a town. It's a collective of everything. If there was one thing, we all would have done it already, right? So billboards are the new thing. I get this question all the time. Do you think they work? How much do they cost? How do I get them? And for those doing it, great. These are actually from a movie. Anyone know? No one knows this? I Love You, Man. It's a very funny real estate movie. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. But these are from a movie, and it makes fun of billboards. And it's funny. This movie was 15 years ago, and it was making fun of billboards. And I Love You, Man.
Oh, I thought you loved him.
Oh, no. Funny. Rocco, I'm sorry, I'm taken. Sorry. But these are not the one-trick ponies. Don't throw all your eggs in these baskets hoping to become the dominant agent in any area. So let's start off with, it is not the brand. The brand gets your foot in the door. The brand gives you credibility. But don't join an office, or don't say, if only I was in with this office or that brand, I would dominate. It is not the brand. It does help, again, with credibility, but you can't look to join an office, or you can't think, if only I was with that firm, I would dominate and I'd have market share. It's not your Zillow spend. I hear this one all the time. My Zillow rep called me. I'm going to up my spend. I'm going to get more impressions. I'm going to show up 1 out of 3 listings, and that's going to be the game changer. Guys, it's not that. Again, if it were that, everyone would throw their money at that one zip code that they want to dominate. They would come up on every listing, and they would dominate, but that's not what does it. I'm not saying Zillow doesn't work, and I'm not saying you shouldn't partake in Zillow. You will see later on, I will definitely say Zillow is like a toll booth. You have to go through them, love them or hate them. But your Zillow spend and raising your Zillow spend is not what will get you market share. You don't have to live there, as I explained. Grew up in Union County, went to school there. I dominated 3 towns in Essex County. One of our new agents, Daryl, and he's British, so I love the accent, but Daryl said, I had to come and talk to you because you have all the boards. Boards are British for signs, right? Never lived there. And I've heard that from agents. I've had the questions. How did you gain the market share? How did you get so much listings here? You don't have to live there. Agents tend to think where I live is where I have to start, right? That's my farm. But there are some small towns where there's not enough transactions. The price points may not make sense. There's already someone that's the mega agent that has the market share that it might be hard to compete against. And it might not be the town that you live. Here's an example. If you grew up we're in Edison, you grew up in Edison, and because you have a sphere in Edison, you sold 15 homes, and tomorrow you guys decide to move to East Brunswick, and the one home you sold there was your personal house that you bought. Should you really be farming East Brunswick right away? No, because you don't have the leverage. You don't have the sales. There's no compound effect if the only home you sold there is where you live. So don't move or don't say, I have to farm my town that I live in. It is great, it's convenient, we all want to dominate that town, but it may not be the best play. Look at where you have the leverage, look at where you have the sales, and look at that town. Of course, price points, transactions, the amount of them have to make sense as well. You don't have to have kids in the school. I had an agent say, once she had kids, once my kids are in school, I'm really gonna focus and take it over because I'm gonna meet all the moms at drop off, etc. That is not the case. For those of you that don't have kids, there are other ways to get involved with the school community activities. You don't have to wait for your kids to be part of school to meet the parents at the drop off. Don't make it about the kids. When I heard that, I had to stop that agent. Like, no, it's not about kids, etc. It's your focus. If you want to make this work, you will. You can volunteer, you can sponsor stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later, but don't make that an excuse. BNI groups will not get you market share. I know a lot of agents do them. I'm not opposed to them. I think that there's real value in networking, but I've gotten a lot of feedback from agents in BNI groups, and they find that realtors, us, we're the ones that are the rainmakers of referrals. And I see some heads nodding. Think about it. You have an accountant, you have an attorney. Personally, I'm not looking forward to calling an accountant on a daily basis. I'm not outbound reaching out. I need an accountant today, right? You're typically calling an attorney when something happens, but people call realtors all the time. So they tend to look at us as rainmakers, and we're the ones getting the inbound calls. So it's not something I'm completely against, but don't say, hey, I'm going to join all these groups. I've seen agents do it, and now it's a big time commitment to not really get much out of it. And, it's local. It's a local BNI group, so, we'll get referrals in town. May not work. Do not expect one mailer campaign to make you the local rainmaker. This is a big one. I have a lot of agents, hey, I just sold something. I'm going to do this mailer, and I'm going to send out 2,000 postcards. Here's the thing, guys. For this to work, and it does work, and you don't have to spend a lot of money, you don't have to go crazy, it's the compound, it's the snowball effect. So if you sell a house in Woodbridge today, and you send out 500 mailers, but then you sell a house in Edison tomorrow, you send out 500 there, you sell a house in East Brunswick the next day, and then Cranford, and you're sending out all these random mailers, you're not picking up traction. Someone is getting that random mailer from you, and they're looking at the house. If I own that house in Woodbridge, and I'm like, great, this just sold for $350, excellent, right? But you're not the household name, because your next set of mailers is going to Edison, then Cranford, then East Brunswick. And that person in Woodbridge is not hearing from you again until you have another sale in Woodbridge. There is no compound effect. I'm going to give you guys an example of what that's like. It can work. This is kind of opportunity dancing with you because you're putting yourself out there and you're showing up, but it's not as effective as if you were focusing on the one town and using that for this compound effect. So the way this works is timing. Yes, you will get lucky if you're doing it enough, but I'd rather be strategic. This works in the sense that husband and wife talk and they say, honey, we need to move, we need to sell the house. All of a sudden, they get a mailer that day, and the husband says, hey, Hun, I got a mailer from Youssef. This is a sign. We just talked about this. We should list with Youssef, right? That's what you're aiming for if you're doing the one and done in Woodbridge, then Edison, then East Brunswick. But if you're doing it consistently, they're not just paying attention to the house, they're paying attention to you. Oh, Rocco sells a lot. This is like the 4th or 5th one we got from him. And a study did say it's after the 4th mailer that they actually remember your name. Just listed, just sold. You're looking at the house. Homeowners are comparing, sizing up that house against theirs. Oh my gosh, it sold for $750. What do you think ours is worth? They're not like, oh, look at John. He's a superstar, right? No. But after 3-4 times, they're like, oh, we keep getting stuff from him. He must be doing very well. He's our local guy, or she's our local agent. So the one-off mailers, I'm not saying it's impossible that you will not get something from it. I had an agent do it once and he got 2 listings, but it's not as strategic. And then real estate magazines and shopping carts. I don't know that many people that pick up that magazine at ShopRite or Wegmans or Whole Foods, wherever they're shopping, and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy that home, or I'm going to call that agent. And by the way, guys, there are hundreds of agents in those magazines, right? There are hundreds. Sellers can't make a decision between 3 or 4 agents when they're interviewing. What do you think they're going to do with a magazine with hundreds of agents? It's overwhelming. I don't know how effective they are. We tracked it in East Brunswick with Carl, where we put a tracking number on one of these marketing campaigns. We're tracking a shopping cart one now in Cranford with one of our agents where we have a special number. And to date, it's been about 3 months, we got no calls from from the shopping cart. Yeah, and listen, and you've tracked it. You were trolled. To my point, there's no one-trick pony, there's no magic bullet, there's no magic pill. Incorporating some of these things into your strategy will help, but don't shoot all your bullets thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to pour all my marketing, I'm going to pour my entire marketing budget, pour all my resources into any of these, and it's going to revolutionize my business, and I'm going to be the go-to person in whatever town. So, this is from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors. I did not make this up. The number one reason most agents fail at dominating a neighborhood is they give up too soon. If you cannot commit to at least 6 months of consistent marketing and relationship building, and the key here is relationship building, you are probably better off not trying at all, which is a strong statement. Marketing is expensive if you give up, but if it's an investment if you stick to your plan. Again, we are in the microwave culture now, right? Everyone wants to add 30 seconds button, but farming and taking over a town, building your business, scaling is not a microwave kind of event. You have to let it bake. You actually have to preheat the oven, right? You guys are preheating now. You're learning, right? But you have to let it bake. There is no quick fix. There's no 30-second button. And NAR has done all the studies. Agents give up too soon because they're not in it for the long haul. They want immediate, but that's not the game. Brian Abrams wrote The Ultimate Guide to Real Estate Agent Reviews. And now I'm going to get right into deep diving into what works, what you guys can do, some actionable steps to take that will help you scale, grow your business. So it's starting with Zillow reviews. If you guys are not partaking in getting your clients to write you reviews, you'll pay for it because you're going to cost yourself business. So Brian Abrams, third party, not affiliated, but did a study, and Zillow reviews are the way to go. And I've heard agents say, oh, well, Google reviews and everything else. The reason Zillow reviews are the most important is Zillow's the most visited real estate website in the world. Right? Google reviews are great, and these other sites, your own testimonials on your sites are great. But if everyone's on Zillow and it's the most visited real estate website in the world, why would you go against the grain? Right? If your pool of buyers and sellers is there, you got to play with them. So one other thing from his article, and this is a screenshot from his article, is some sites recommend soliciting reviews on Trulia as well. Zillow Group owns them. And Zillow Group powers several other sites like MSN Homes, Yahoo Homes, etc. So love them or hate them, Zillow is the toll booth. And if you want the express lane to scaling, you got to pay the toll. Otherwise, you're going to do stop and go at the traffic lights. But love them or hate them, you have to get reviews on Zillow. That's where your clients figure out if they should call you for an interview, or they should call Joe or Mary or Sue. That's where you get to be a first impression. People had great things to say about him or her. So definitely get Zillow reviews. Step number one. And I say double down on your reviews. And I'm going to demonstrate why this is key. So 2 weeks ago, I was preparing this presentation. And as I mentioned before, I had market share in a couple towns when I was focused on selling, 3 towns to be exact, without Zillow spend, without farming, without cold calling, without door knocking. So in preparing this, I said, let me just see if one of the zip codes, and I blurred out some agent names and faces because I didn't want to kind of put anyone's information out there. But I said, let me pull up one of the zip codes and see if I still have market share. And it's a little hard to read, but we'll send everyone the slides. The last review I got in the zip code was 2017. And what's showed me that this really works is sellers go to Agent Finder on Zillow. So when they hit Agent Finder, they're putting in a location, Edison, East Brunswick, Cranford, whatever town, and from that location, it'll give them a list of agents. They can put in a zip code. Featured agents comes up first. Now, anyone here ever Google something and you see the ads? Who skips the ads? Yeah, half of the room skips the ads, right? Don't push your agenda on me, right? I want the organic stuff. I want the results for what I'm looking for. I don't want your advertisement. I don't want your sale. I want the organic stuff. So the featured agents, they're paying to be here, which I think it's pretty funny how Zillow charges them to be here. All that's shown is a phone number, the amount of reviews they have, and then a name. But the bottom section, which to me is better, has reviews in that zip code. And what's great about it is there's a lot more content. I have a much bigger banner for free than the people that are featured. So I still rank from years and years of doing business, and how the algorithm works for this is not that many people in the zip code are getting reviews. So simple. I still rank well because I have probably the most reviews in that one zip code. And this is from years ago. I haven't been active there. I'm not getting reviews. But if you double down on your reviews, you can definitely come up first. And for sellers that are going to Agent Finder, you will rank higher and you will hopefully be the go-to person that they're calling. So
you got to pay for it?
No, it's free. The featured agents are paying to show up. But because you have reviews in any zip code, you will rank higher. So it's it's free to get reviews. But it organically makes you rank higher because customers are saying great things about you. You have traction in the area. And this is the compound effect, guys. So it is free. You can get reviews from clients you haven't closed a transaction with. And this is something I train one-on-one with agents because we're very good. A lot of us are very good at getting reviews at the closing table or immediately after. But if you want to really dominate and go deep into a town, you gotta double down on your reviews. So here's a cool little tactic. While you're actively working with the client, hopefully it's a couple. If it's a couple, you can get reviews before you close. The drop down on Zillow says I've bought a home with this person, I sold a home with this person, I'm actively working with this person. So if it's Monroe, you get one review from the spouse while you're actively working, then you close and you get another review. So now you just got 2 reviews in that zip code, which will help you rank higher, right? You're going to have more reviews in that zip code, and Zillow will put you on the top of the list because you have more reviews, you have more traction in that zip code. So it's...
How do you get that specific zip code because you're saying that you come up as that person, the go-to person with reviews in that zip code?
Correct.
So how do you get the person got a review request? How do they know that that zip code is 0820 or whatever?
Did you close them yet?
Yes.
Well, then the house has to be in 08820. The review has to be in the zip code. The home that you sold has to be in that zip code. If you sell something in 08816, it's not going to help you with. No, the home that you're selling. Or if you're actively working with the buyer in 08820, while you're showing them a home in 08820, have them write the review about the 08820 home. Do you follow? And we'll talk about it offline. No problem. Another reason why Zillow is great to get reviews is Zillow reviews are portable. If you've ever bought leads from other third-party sites like Homes, etc., they will take your Zillow reviews. Zillow will not take anyone else's reviews. Their algorithm is very tough. If you've tried this before, you can't use the same computer if there's a husband and wife or spouses. They will not allow the same IP address to write 2 reviews. Different emails, same IP address, they will flag it. Zillow does a very good job of screening. So if you have these reviews on Zillow, it is very easy to export them to your own site, to other third-party sites. But if you get them all on Realtor, you can get reviews on Realtor. If you get them all on Google, Zillow may not take them. And as Brian Abrams said with his study, which was the slide before, Zillow is the #1 traffic real estate website. So love them or hate them, you got to play with them. I think starting with Zillow reviews is the way to go. And to your point, they are free.
Also, I'm sorry if I missed it, but I've also asked you to review okay, I'm going to put off for now, I'm not going to. And you did actually close on something, but it didn't work with them.
Yep.
And, they were still able to review and say, okay, the process, for whatever reason, they weren't buying or selling whatever case, but we did work together. And they did experience the services. Therefore, they can still make the review.
Absolutely. The drop down for that is actively working with. There might be another one like try to buy a house. I don't remember exactly what the drop downs are, but the actively working with, they can write your review. But if you're doing that, kudos to you because you're doubling down on your reviews. Because then you get a review from them now, they close with you, you can get another review. And that just helps you grow your business. So great job. Also, one quick tip, claim all your past sales. And if you've been doing this for a while and you really weren't using Zillow or you switched offices and you have sales from a prior office that you forgot about, go back and claim all of your past sales. If you're only showing 25, but you really sold 100 homes, but you're like, I just started doing this, I'm not going to go back and claim the other 75. If I'm a seller and I see Olivier at 25 and Rocco sold 100, I'm probably going to call Rocco because I want the attorney, I want the accountant, I want the realtor that has more experience and can guide me through the process and has done this a lot more. So claim your past sales. That is very important. The good news is, I don't know if anyone's seen it, a lot of times Zillow is doing it automatically now. They just started that this year where they'll say you sold this and it's claimed under you. But if you have to still monitor it and frankly go back into your productivity for those of you that use Garden State MLS and take everything from day one. And off-market stuff as well. If you sell something through an investor, you did represent them as a buyer's agent or listing agent. Even if it's off-market, you can claim that. You got paid a real estate commission. You represented them. I'm sure there's a CIS and all this other stuff signed, but definitely claim those as well. Monthly or quarterly market updates. Anyone here get recipes from other realtors at home? Anyone here ever use one of those recipes? Right? And listen, guys, if you're sending out recipes, sending something is definitely better than nothing. I'm not poo-pooing on your recipes, but I could tell you that my wife cooks. I've never seen her say, I got to go find that postcard of the recipe to make something. Right? Everyone's asking Alexa. We have whatever that hub is at home now for Google or pulling up the YouTube on the iPad. You're doing it that way. The reason Zillow does so well is not because the information's accurate. It's because there's a perception that they're providing you all of the information. So provide information to your clients. And this is just something that our marketing department does for our agents. And I just pulled it for this demonstration. But rather than sending football schedules, rather than sending recipes, send them information. Give them quarterly or monthly updates. And as I mentioned before, it doesn't have to be every month. You can send it to them quarterly. Marketing studies have said it's the same effect if you send something quarterly, but you do it for the long term versus sending it every month. So you save money by not having to mail every month. Your budget is stretched out, and that allows you to do it for years. People's real estate needs don't change from one day to another. It changes over a month or couple months. Things happen. Job, downsize, they're looking at the taxes. It's very rare someone says today, we need to sell the house, and tomorrow they're listing. So you need to kind of be there for the long haul and not try it for 6 months and you don't get a listing from it and you quit. But if you're going to send something, send quarterly or monthly updates. That's why Zillow does very well and has market share. Again, their information is not right. We all got those leads on the pre-foreclosures, right? Yep. But because they're giving you tax information, because they're giving you all the back and forth when the home's been listed on and off the market, because of their Zestimate, which people think are an appraisal, consumers love Zillow. It's not the prettiest site. It's not always accurate. It's not necessarily the most user-friendly, but it's the perception of information. It's very simple to pull the data from the MLS. Just have a disclaimer, as we have here in the bottom, information sourced from GSMLS and deemed reliable but not guaranteed. But send out what's selling. Inform the consumer. I'm not in the market to move, but I like seeing what the value of my home is when there's a comp. And I think everyone does. So informing and educating the consumer is key. And how you can do this is however you like to slice it and dice it. Provide the number of home sales, average prices, price ranges, days on market, number of new listings, absorption rates. Give them information that you become the resource. You are valuable to them. The more information you can give people, the more they value you. And once they value you, they will work with you. Besides quarterly, monthly updates, you need the warm and fuzzy, right? People have to know you, like you, trust you. So one other way to do this is being hyper-local. You want to take over a town, you want to take over a zip code. If your farm area is where you live, you want to dominate there, you have to seem hyper-local. If you're 3 counties away or a county away, you could be a town away. If you don't know what's going on in that market, it's going to be hard to convert. You'll get opportunities, but you will not convert. Because another agent that's very local and is doing everything localized, they're going to seem like the local expert. You might sell more than them, but the perception is he or she is the go-to agent in that area. So, just like the quarterly updates, create a calendar, right? Create a calendar that you post and share, and you're promoting whatever town that's in. So, publish it on social media, share it monthly, and all you have to do is pull this data from whatever town site, the patch. Be prepared. Don't do it at the end of, don't do it on the first, second, or third, because by the time you get this up, by the time you publish it, you're a week into the month and now you've missed 3 or 4 of the events. But be prepared, pull the data from the town sites. It's all there. You can contact the Chamber of Commerce. You can contact the town coordinator. They'll give you a list of events, and you can actually be proactive and do this a year in advance. There might add some things that you have to add to your calendars as well, but there is a schedule and every town has one. Become the resource for locals and people interested in that town. Full disclosure, there's an agent in my town that sends something like this, and for a long time, that's how I knew what was going on. Oh, there's a fair. And I'd go to my wife and like, oh, honey, Saturday, there's a fair in town. She's like, yeah, how did you know that? Oh, that flyer. She's like, yeah, that's been on our calendar for 2 months, right? But I was getting my information from there because I don't have time to go to the patch or the local website and pull the data. But become the resource for everyone in that town. So what's hyperlocal content if you don't want to do a calendar? Because this may not be for everyone. Some people may not want to pull calendars, or maybe your town doesn't have enough. So what's hyperlocal content? Go to the town website, subscribe to the patch, set up Google alerts for that town. You can get the school and sports information. By the way, if you set up Google alerts, just be prepared. You will get bombarded because every town has a lot going on. But that also lets you know, hey, there's a new development going up. Hey, the town is planning to change the zoning ordinance. There's so much information that you will get that you don't have to dig for. And frankly, if you're focused on one or two towns, worst case scenario, you get a bunch of these emails. If you scroll through, you delete. But Google Alerts for that town will keep you in the know. If you're the person on the block that could tell everyone, by the way, did you know that that old lot, they're going to put up 900 townhomes and it's going to flood our schools? You get that conversation going. You're a resource for your neighbors. You're a resource for everyone in that town. And when there's a point where they need to buy or sell, or someone asks, like, yeah, we're thinking about listing our home, who are they going to go to? You. Because you've been that resource, you've been in the know, and you've been valuable to them. You're making deposits into this account relationship with your sphere and the network, and then you can make a withdrawal when you need a listing or two. Join Facebook groups for that town. Oh man, if any of you are part of any Facebook groups, you could see the way that they could derail and go deep. And it gets funny sometimes, and you just sit back and watch and get some popcorn. But guess what? That's where everyone is, right? They're involved, they care, they have their opinion. And you get to see the trends. You get to see what they're concerned about. It also keeps you in the know. But join a Facebook group for whatever town you want to dominate. Gather all the info on the fairs, the parades, library events, nights out. This is stuff you want to promote. Makes you seem hyper local, and that helps with going deep and gaining market share in the town. Publish, hashtag, share, and encourage your network to share, your friends, your family, past clients. Realtors in this room, when you're trying to share and post things and gain new followers and gain an audience, don't just use the realtor hashtags. Right? We are notorious for hashtag realtor life. I don't know a client, buyer or seller that's looking up the hashtag realtor life when they're deciding for an agent, right? You want to be hashtag East Brunswick. You want to be hashtag Cranford, New Jersey. You want to be hashtag downtown Cranford, hashtag Union, hashtag whatever town. But when you stick to the realtor hashtags, you're not growing your audience. You're just befriending a lot of other agents. So just be more strategic with some of these little things. Volunteer, be present, show up. The more you can do in the community, the more your name gets out there. And of course, you should always be wearing your badge and branding yourself, be your own billboard. So that's hyperlocal content and how to find it. Print or not to print? Anyone here still do print? Some? Okay. That's the question, right? And it still works. Good. It still works. It's a little different now. You have to be more strategic, but print still works. Those who subscribe to the newspaper still read them. Anyone ever go to a diner on a Saturday or Sunday morning and you see people sitting there reading the papers? People still read the papers. They still work. You just have to be more strategic about it. Sponsor sporting events. I see this all the time. The towns have these fairs and you see these bags that they give out and they'll have a company or a couple companies on them. That's print. And you're hyper local because everyone around the town is walking around with that orange or green bag and it has your brand, your logo, right? There's different types of print. The market shifted, marketing has shifted, you have to shift along with it. Coordinate with township events, e-commerce, the downtown committees, get involved. It's free. It makes you hyper local. They will talk to you. They will talk about you. They will pass out your cards. You'll have their cards in the city hall. But free things that you can do to really start to build a presence. And many towns still have local newspapers. I know a lot of friends in my town that I've met. I have these 4 retired guys that befriended me at the gym because once they figured out I was a realtor, they're like, oh, you can come to breakfast with us. You're not on a schedule. And they're retired. They read the paper, they talk about it, they get resources and they tell me things that they're getting from these localized papers. Those are actually still good to advertise because the people that read them, they actually pull their resources from those papers. So don't run away from print. You just have to be strategic. You have to have a plan. And again, like NAR study, you have to do it for the long haul. You can't place an ad and say, I tried the ad, didn't work, my phone didn't ring. You have to do the year or two commitment to running that ad. Good old farming, play the long game, keep it consistent. Like I just said, the year or two commitment. You don't have to do it monthly. You can do it quarterly. People's real estate needs don't change month after month. And now we're going to get to some of the technology fun stuff. Landing pages. Anyone try it? No one's tried a landing page? 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Landing pages work. They were the rave for a while. Everyone was doing them. And I could tell you the biggest challenge is they generated leads, and I know this, but then they could not get back to people. It was overwhelming. What do I send? How do I send the CMA? I don't know how to comp it. I don't have enough information on the house. People aren't ready. They didn't give me all the info. And that became the challenge. So people kind of pushed away. Landing pages do work because you're creating an opportunity for the seller to reach you first. Someone that's curious about their house value, they're curious for a reason. Problem with us agents is we like sales leads. Sales leads are people that are ready to transact today. We don't love marketing leads. Marketing leads are people you have to market to and nurture, and they take time, right? We all want the sales lead. That buyer that calls you and says, hey, I want to go do this today. I'm ready to write an offer. We love those, and we focus on those. But the marketing leads are a lot of times here in these valuations. They want the value of their house because they're going to be empty nesters in a couple years. They're tired of paying the high New Jersey taxes, right? But they're not ready today, and it's our job to nurture them. But this works if you go in with that mindset. If you go do landing pages and think, hey, I'm going to capture 5 new sellers today. Next week, I'll have 5 new listings. Yeah, not going to happen. But over time, if you nurture these relationships, you keep in touch, what will happen is when they're ready, you were the first person that they met with. And NAR has a stat as well. Most sellers 60% of the time, sellers list with the first agent they met. Now, if the agent drops the ball, can't answer their questions, etc., they're not going to go with them. But I'd like to be first in the door, especially if they're not really looking to do it for a little bit, because if I keep in touch, I'll build a relationship, I'll nurture it, I'll make enough deposits that when they're ready, they'll list with me. You must reply with a CMA. You have to give them the information. If you have a landing page and someone puts in their info and you're not giving them back a CMA, they're not going to call you. They could be ready in 2 weeks. They're not going to get back to you because you promised something and you did not deliver. So you have to have the back-end systems to run the CMA. And again, as I mentioned, this is a long-term play. People may not be ready to sell. They're marketing leads that you have to work towards. But if someone's inquiring today, it's because down the line they do have expectations of someday selling. And you become the first person to give them the valuation. Hopefully, if you nurture that, you will definitely be the person that they go to when that time comes. You can also do this with buyers. And a lot of agents are very good at doing this. I see it all the time. You guys have probably seen it. You're on Facebook and you're scrolling, and there's an agent that you know with the little pop-up box that says sponsored ad, and it's about their listing or it's about their open house, right? So these still work. You're lead capturing. So create a buyer lead capture page. Whatever site you're using to create a seller landing page, they will do the same. Also, have a hook. Buyers care about one thing. Can anyone tell me? Homes. Finding them a house. No one wants a mortgage. No offense, Joe, or any other mortgage guys in here. I don't want a mortgage. No one wants a mortgage. No one really wants a home inspection. You have to do it, but no one wants these things that come along with buying a house. They just care about a home. So you got to have a hook. You have a nice new listing. That's what you run this ad on, right? Because you know it's going to generate traffic. You guys know when you walk into a house and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to sell in a week. I'm going to have multiple bids. This is great. I'm going to get 5 new leads off of it. That's the listing that you want to do a buyer lead capture on because it's going to draw in the buyers and draw in the attention. Specialize in something. Some people focus on REO. Some people focus on new construction. Some people focus on townhome communities. Some people focus on adult communities. If you focus on something, if you have a niche, make a page just for that. Because an investor that's looking for multifamilies, he will find you, she will find you, and you'll win them over. Someone that's looking for an adult community, it's very hard when you're online trying to narrow into adult communities. I've tried it. I don't remember why, but I've tried it. There's not a lot of filters for that. But if you have a page and you're doing it consistently, you will get organic traffic, which will help you. Offer something of value. A buyer guide, area reports. This goes back to my market snapshots. Do it quarterly, do it monthly. You could offer them that. Educate the consumer. Once you have something of value, it will draw people in and you will be able to capture these leads and opportunities. And this works very well when you're boosting. So a lot of people toggle and vacillate between, do I have my Facebook personal page or my business page? You do need a business page because if you're ever going to boost an ad, you can't do it from your personal. So if you're going to do these seller valuation landing pages, if you're going to do some lead capture for buyers, you need a business page. But once you have the business page, you can target, you can go hyper local, you can go very deep in any town or area or farm or even complex and generate the buyers and seller leads from there. Video. I heard something about video. Everyone's afraid of video. Tell you a funny story of video. So with all these mastermind training classes, I understood and I accepted that I have to adapt to 2020. And I said, okay, I'm going to start doing more video. So I started early December, didn't wait for New Year's. And one of the agents, I started posting videos and one of the agents in the office comes to me. She's like, you know, Olivier, you're not you on these videos. Every Tuesday we have these meetings, you command the room. You're like Mr. Swag and Confidence. These videos, you're nervous, you're not you. And I said, you know what? I'm not as comfortable. I'm new to video, you're right. I can take constructive criticism, I get it, you're right. So I challenged that agent, well, when are you gonna post some videos? She does a video, and I say, how is it doing the video? She's like, oh my gosh, it was the hardest thing ever. She was like, and I majored in theater, but that camera came on. She's like, I did 30 takes. And I was like, haha, right? It is not that easy. Guys, love it or hate it, you have to use video. And I'm gonna have some data for you on that. And for those of you that have embraced it already, kudos, great job. But you need to use video. What's cool about video is, as long as you're not live streaming, if you don't like the take, you can retake it. Hopefully you're not doing 20 to 30 takes of it, but you can retake it. And just an FYI, if you haven't heard this already, the way you look and sound on video is the way you look and sound in real life. You know what's funny though? Most agents never listen to themselves. They've never listened to a recording. So that's the shock of like, oh my goodness, this is how I sound. But it will make you more conscious and you will be a better speaker and deliver messages better. But you have to start video. One cool thing to do if you are looking to grow and an easy way to get involved with video and be hyper local, because remember, this training is dominating a zip code, dominating a town. So video is great, but if you really want to go deep in a town, get involved in that town. This is a very easy way. Interview business owners. No business owner is going to tell you no to an interview. And by the way, this is an easy video because you just go in with 5 or 6 questions and they're going to do all the talking. All you have to do is ask questions. What else that does is it's cross promotion, right? You interview someone from a restaurant. 2 weeks ago, I went to a new macaroon place in Cranford. I posted because it was delicious and they friended me, thanked me. And it's been all this interaction. I told them I have the brokerage in Cranford. And they're like, oh, great. We know a couple of realtors we'll definitely introduce you to. Not looking for that, right? And that wasn't an interview. That was just me posting how great this macaroon place was. But you will cross promote, which will spark referrals. It gives you the hyper-local feel, right? I hashtag downtown Cranford. I hashtag Cranford when I went to this macaroon place. So anyone looking, by the way, it wasn't Realtor Life, although it was part of my Realtor Life. But by hashtagging those local hashtags, people looking to move into Cranford or East Brunswick or Union or whatever town, people that already live there, that are part of the community, you will come up. You will come up. You'll be relevant. And you do that enough, you become the toll booth. You become a billboard. And you build your audience. So one quick, easy thing to do is definitely interview business owners. They will be more than glad because it's free exposure to them. And there's so many benefits from it. And again, it's free. Target marketing. This is something I really focus on. Target marketing, and I'm going to age myself here, because back in the day, this is how you had to do it. Target marketing is being very strategic of who you're calling. If you just sold a house and you mail out 500 postcards, I don't know what percentage, depending on the neighborhood, there might be 100 or 200 or 300 people that bought their home in the last 5 years and are not really looking to sell. They're not really your target audience that you're trying to reach, but you're blanketing people randomly with postcards. If you're going to target market, you want to sort out, and you could do this easily through the MLS. And sorry guys, this is a little small print, but I sorted by dates. And the first date I think is like 1954, they've been in their home, and then it goes to 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. But that's very targeted. Those people are more likely to sell. It's very easy to do. You pull the tax records on any street, any town, any area, and you can sort and rank them by the age of their home, or the date that they bought their home, how long they've been in their home. And that's someone that's probably going to need to downsize, probably tired of paying the high New Jersey taxes. Kids are out the house, right? The maintenance is catching up with them. All their friends are retired to Florida. And that's who your target audience is, because they're very likely to sell. All right, are you going to come up and assist me? Because that's my next slide. That's why I said I'm aging myself.
Yeah, remind you.
No, but you're right. I used to have to do it this way. And we'll get into Remind. But I used to have to do it this way, where you had to data dump everything down into Excel, sort it, and fast forward, technology's caught up. But run tax record search is free. Make homeowners who have lived in their house the longest your target. They're more likely to sell than someone that bought in 2015, 16, 17. And what's great about them is no one's calling them. Right? You're not fishing where everyone else is. They're not FSBOs and expires that are getting a bunch of calls. So, reach homeowners who are more likely to sell. Why? They probably don't have a realtor. Someone that bought their house in 1980, what's the likelihood that their realtor is still in touch? Slim to none, right? So they don't have a realtor. So there's an opportunity there right away. They're most likely to read your marketing material. Let's call it the baby boomers, right? They're home, they're retired, they're getting the marketing, they're looking at it, they're reading it, they're paying attention to it because they don't have a realtor. They've been in their house for so long, and they've seen the ups and downs of the market. 2005, 6, 7, the homes were selling for $500,000, market crashed, they're down to the threes, now they're back to $500,000, and they're like, oh great, maybe there's value there. They're gonna look at your material because they wanna know. Many just like to talk. Had an agent, her husband used to call and befriend these sellers that had been in their house for a while. And he would just have conversations, not even real estate related, just talk to them. And eventually the dominoes would fall. When they're ready, he became their friend, and they're going to no one else but him. So have a real estate conversation, but you don't know what the relationship will build to. In the NAR slide that I had before, it's building relationships. They're easier to convert because not a lot of people are calling them. They're not FSBOs and expireds. They're not expecting the call. You're calling them with information. You send them your quarterly or market updates. It works. Remind. Here we go. Helps you target. So in today's day and age, Remind will have absentee homeowners, time in their home, tax records, the mortgage rates. It gives you everything. This is now the new way to data dump your tax records and make very strategic and targeted marketing campaigns. It's free. It's part of your MLS. I know Central Jersey MLS, for those of you in that MLS, there's a tab right in Central Jersey. If you have Garden State or any other MLS, you can log in for free. I don't know where the link is, but if you Google it, Remind. What was that?
In Garden State and NJMS both,
they have the link. Yeah, but it's going to be great. Absentee homeowners, there's a cell score. These highlighted blue circles are a high sell score. These people are most likely to sell. So this is a great opportunity where you don't have to do all the downloading, Excel, sorting. Just go there and put the sell score of the town you want to focus in, and they're going to tell you who's more likely based on algorithms. Time in the house, kids out of the house, they're empty nesters, taxes going up. There's all this data that Remind and all these sites like SmartZip is pulling, and they're telling you how to do it. So you can search absentee homeowners, high probability sellers. You can sort by property types. I had someone ask me yesterday, I need a 2-family in this really nice town. And I'm like, they're very rare to find. So using Remind, you could actually go in and target that particular type of property, a 2-family, and you can reach out saying, I have a buyer, because that agent generally has a buyer. But you can sort by that. You can sort by distressed properties. You can sort by their mortgage rate, and if it's paid off. But Remind is definitely a faster, more effective way to get the information in target market. So strategic open houses. There's an agent here that I met. We built a friendship. We've worked together for many, many years, and we met at an open house. I was showing my parents a house. And it was so funny because she stopped me. She's like, oh, I really like the way you showed the house. And I'm like, this is my parents. I guess I'm, trying to take care of them. And she says, look me up. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, look her up. So I go look her up, and I was like, whoa, big producer. Long story short, we formed a relationship, but I have a saying with open houses. It should be a 1-for-1 appointment. You sit in an open house, I look at that as an appointment. You should leave and intentionally market it so you get an appointment. And the way to do that is several ways. I know we all plan to and intend to get there super early on Sunday, put the balloons out, go knock on the neighbors' doors, invite them to your open house, when in reality, Sunday morning you're scrambling, you go to the Party City, you gotta wait online for the balloons, you finally put them in your car, you can't see, and you're like trying not to crash, right? We've all been there. Unless you're very disciplined and can get there early or have some help around it, try to get it done ahead of time by just mailing them a packet. Mail all the neighbors, both sides of the block, your marketing kit. Let them see your professional brochures. Let that be kind of your brag book about yourself, right? Make that your resume. Let the marketing sell you. And of course, invite them to the open house. But each open house should be a 1-to-1. Mail homeowners on both sides a package, invite them, ask them if they want a CMA, because reality, you're not going to have the time to do it. And if you do, kudos to you. Here's kind of one of the things I love to train agents on, and I was so happy because 2 weeks ago, one of the agents got an appointment, followed my lead. I like to schedule an appointment for a comparable property when I'm sitting in an open house. So I'm sitting 123 Main Street, and it's from 2 to 4, 1 to 4. I schedule a 4:30 at another house that's very comparable. Same price point, same amount of bedrooms, same condition. And why I do that is buyers that come into the open house, they may not like that home. So when you're getting feedback, what'd you think about it? Oh, it doesn't work for me. I like it, but this. You can easily say, hey, by the way, I'm previewing a home immediately after this at 4:30. Would you like to accompany me? Pick a house that hasn't had an open house, that there's no open house scheduled for. Because you could also say, there's no open house on that. I don't know how you're going to see it if you're not scheduled. And what you're doing is you're getting that 1-for-1, right? You booked an open house, and now you walked out of there with a buyer appointment. And by the way, that buyer that's going to 3, 4, 5 open houses that day, who's the realtor that they probably would want to work with if they met 3 or 4? The ones that are going to set them up on a drip email, auto alerts for listings, or the one that actually got them to another house? 1-for-1. You sit in an open house with the intention to walk out of there with an appointment, whether it's a buyer or a seller. Place the signs out early. I know it's hard. The day before, find out from your town. I don't want to hear Olivier said put them on a Saturday and I got a fine. Find out from whatever town it's in, if you are allowed to. And obviously don't put them 5 feet into the corner property's lawn and have them upset at you. But try to get them out early. Of course, have signs that say Sunday open house if you're putting them out on Saturday, but it's more exposure. Guys, open house signs, listings, any signage you have is a billboard. The more of those, you get that compound effect. So open houses, guys, 1 for 1. If you take a couple things away from today, get Zillow reviews, and make your open houses 1 for 1. They definitely work. Give back and pay it forward. Be involved in the community. This is our way of giving back. We do these industry events. It's brand agnostic. We're not pushing a brand. I enjoy it. I've spoken at my kids' school. I just enjoy giving back, and it also helps you always practice and sharpen your tools. But offer to speak at career days. My son's teacher asked me if I wanted to come in for career day because I'm one of the few dads that has the autonomy to come and go and flexibility to always be there at events. So I said, sure. My son was excited. My wife did this nice spread. It was great. I got 2 referrals, actually 1 buyer and 1 referral from the aides in the class. Just from being present and being part of the community and giving back. So free, cost me nothing. One of the aides was looking to buy and the other one had a family member looking to buy. Donate, offer to help local pantry or food kitchen. One cool thing they do in my town, and I think there's 2 of them, and it's genius. They do a book drop. So there's a bigger mailbox on kind of the curb that's in there. And what do you do with books that your kids have read that they've outgrown or you've read and you don't want to read it again? What do you do with them? They kind of sit around on a shelf and you look like you have a library somewhere in your house, right? I know I do. But they started this book drop and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's genius. So people go and they take a book. And then when you're done with the book, you just drop it off. It's free. It's the cost of having a bigger mailbox. But imagine you're the realtor and you're out and they've interviewed the 2 homeowners that have done this. They're getting exposure. You're meeting people. You become hyper local. There's a lot of ways to get involved with the community that will help you grow your business. Coach toy drives. I know our offices do that. Sponsor local school sports. One of our agents, she's not here today. She sponsored jerseys for their soccer team for her kid's school. And several of the parents thanked her because they didn't have to contribute. And guess what? I think she got 2 or 3 referrals from it. And that wasn't the intent. Her kids were on the sports team, the soccer team. She just wanted to help back and give back. And it turned into beyond paying for itself. So give back. You'd be surprised at what can come from that. Becoming your own billboard. I know we talked about billboards before, but guys, you don't need the billboard on the turnpike. You don't need that investment. Jury's still out on if that works for everyone, because what works for some doesn't necessarily work for everyone, and that's a piece of the puzzle. But there are ways you could become your own billboard. One of the agents in my office, she was looking to do a billboard, and now that's switching to her getting a branded car, which is a moving billboard. And this came about because she's showing homes regularly, and people would say, are you an agent? I had some questions about the house, because they're driving by. And she said, you know what? I might as well just do it on my car so people know I'm the agent. And it's going to open up doors. And neighbors will be more likely to approach me if they see that I'm an agent. So make yourself the billboard. Even if you lease a car, they're decals. They come off. When you return the car, you can take them off. Brand your car. Get more signs in yards. Do I love overpriced listings? No. Do they sometimes make sense if they're strategic? Absolutely. You tell me, take an overpriced listing on Grove Street in Edison where it's high traffic, right? Or I can get a big sign on Route 18 in East Brunswick or Morris Avenue in Union. I will do it because of the visibility, and it's a billboard that costs me whatever the sign cost is, $30, $40, $50, I don't even know, right? But sometimes you have to be strategic and you take that listing if it makes sense and the seller's gonna be in line. Wear your realtor gear all the time. Isn't one of the best feelings when someone sees your pin and you actually do business with them and you realize this, what do they cost? 30 bucks, 20 bucks? $20 turned into $10,000, $15,000, right? Don't be the silent agent. Every time that happens, you gotta thank yourself and keep doing it and motivate yourself to always wear the pin, always be branding yourself, always be marketing yourself. And once you do that, you will get signage. This actually, there's a funny story behind this slide when I was putting this together. I will never forget, in 1 year, I had the ultimate snowball, compounded domino effect, really crushed it on one street. I sold 6 houses on one street in a year span. And it was one listing, and then another listing, and then all the neighbors started calling me because I had 2, 3, 4 signs. And in a year, I sold 6 listings on one street. I gotta say, I was shocked. Why? It was a busy street facing the parkway. And I was really surprised. But the compound effect is what you're looking to do. More signage is your billboards. You don't need it on the parkway. You don't need it on the turnpike. Every single listing is a billboard. And some marketing studies have said, always put your face on your signs. Why? People driving by may not be able to read your name. People driving by don't pay attention to your name, but people will quickly remember a face. So put your face on your signs. But the more signage you have, the better you'll do. That's your billboard. Be your own billboard. So let's get into video. I Googled most traffic website in 2019. Just website, not real estate related. What came up? YouTube. The most visited site. Love it or hate it, you need video. And if you don't embrace it and you don't start making video, the agents that do and the agents that are already doing video will dominate. Inman recently had an article that they put out, 3 marketing trends you should lock down in 2020. Number 1 is video. And this is Inman. Again, number 1 is video. And there's a line that I underlined, bad video is better than no video at all. Guys, my first ones were rough. Anyone see them? They were rough. Oh, you raised your hand like, yeah, they were rough. Thank you. Guys, bad video is better than no video. Our coach, Carl and I's coach and Jason's coach, he says, your crappy video is better than someone's absent video. Right? Because that's how the consumers, that's what engages the consumers. That's what stops them. Our job as marketing experts is to get people to pay attention to what we're selling. The house, we're selling ourselves to get a listing. And if you can't capture them in a way that they want to pay attention, if you're trying to text or email or send attachments and they want video, you're going against the grain. It's a very personal way to communicate, right? You read text sometimes and you're like, what do they mean by this? Video, your body language, you're very precise and clear. It sells them on your marketing and use of technology. Anyone here ever go on a listing appointment and the seller says, well, what do you guys do technology-wise? I know I've got that question. If you're doing video, they're not going to question your use of technology. They're not going to question your marketing because you're going to wow them with video because most agents aren't doing it. Most agents aren't doing it. You're not just a robot, right? Someone goes on Zillow, Trulia, they put in a request, they get 5 calls in 2 minutes, they're overwhelmed. I had an agent create a video because he was getting leads at 10, 11 o'clock at night, taking the calls, spending 20, 30 minutes, and his girlfriend was like, you can't do this every night. 20, 30 minutes at 11 o'clock. Is it Jake from State Farm? Who are you talking to? What's really going on here? It looks fishy. You want to have a video, and as I said, record a video, a generic video. Thank you for reaching out to me. Got your inquiry. Looking forward to working with you. Here's the best ways to reach me. In the meantime, if you have something urgent, please text me. Looking forward to hearing from you. Whatever it is, and that's what you send back. You save that video, and you're sending that automatically. And that agent told me instantly, people were replying back, great, it's good to put a face to the name, awesome, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And it bought him time, right? But it's the way to go. It's great for confirming appointments, replying to inquiries, following up, being local, getting people to know you, like you, then trust you. You have to embrace video. Now, this is like shocking. We're at a mastermind, Jason, Carl, and myself, and several of top producers across the country that were from a bunch of different brands, and CEOs of some of the big brands were speaking. And it was very alarming to see these stats. And this is from the top 500 posts and the action that they got on Facebook. If you sent a link and you posted a link, you're getting 0.2% adaptation open rate. Don't even bother posting a link, basically. If you're posting an image, it was 18%. You better have a pretty capturing picture, right? Video dominated at 81.8%. Guys, love it or hate it, you gotta embrace video. It's just like Zillow. Love it or hate it, you gotta use them. You have to go through them. They are the toll booth. You could either take the express highway and get there quicker and pay the toll, or try to go the local route, and it will be painful. A lot of stop and go. So love it or hate it, you have to be video. And one thing I took away from this, which was very, very eye-opening, you can't make it salesy. The bottom execution needs to be 20%, 25%. Entertainment, education, empathy. People want you. They don't want the sales version of you. They don't want the professional video of you. They want the authentic version of you. So you can't make it about sales. Anyone have friends here in the car business? Are they, and if anyone has been or is still in the car business, don't be offended by this, but if they're posting their deal of the day every day and it's a new car that you're not in the market for, it's noise. You will mute them, you will unfollow them, they will not know that you're not paying attention, but you're gonna turn them off because it's spam. You cannot be selling to your audience every single post. It can't be new listing, new listing, new listing, because someone that's not in the market for a new listing or not in that town, they're not gonna be interested. You are spamming them. You have to balance it out. People will engage more when I post a picture about my kids than anything I do work-wise, right? And I'm staying relevant to them and I'm not spamming them. You have to balance it out. You have to entertain, you have to educate them. That's the way to indirectly sell without, hey, new listing, just close, just close, just close. Have a better message around it. Or you become the car salesman that's always pushing a new car and I'm not in the market for a car, right? Imagine if you have friends in insurance and they're like, guys, time to get that life insurance policy before it's too late, right? You wouldn't want to see that every day. Someone that just bought a home is not going to want to see your new listing every single day. So be very balanced with your approach. And social media, love it or hate it, that's the numbers. 3.4 billion users of social media. You have to embrace it. You cannot ignore it. And the agents that will dominate in the future will embrace this. So if you're running away from it, it will put you out of business eventually. So be the toll booth. You guys have heard me mention that multiple times. Here's where I got that from. Warren Buffett. I buy stocks that are like toll booths. You have to go through them because it's the best or only way. I heard that quote 10, 15 years ago and it stuck with me. You want to be the toll booth. I became the toll booth in those 3 towns that I dominated in a county that I never lived in and frankly still have to GPS any address I go to there, right? I became the toll booth because of my sales. So become the toll booth in your area. Make yourself the toll booth by A, getting Zillow reviews. Anyone going to go out and request some reviews today? And I've heard the challenges, right? Offline, let me know. I can tell you kind of what worked for me. I got 20 or 30 reviews in a 6-month period. There's a way to do it offline. We'll talk about that. But go get Zillow reviews. Create a local town calendar. Be the local resource. You're not going to dominate a town if you have no clue what's going on there. Local market updates. Again, the reason Zillow does so well, it's not because they have the most accurate information. It's because the perception that they give the most information, right? Tax history, on and off the market, last sales price. I know agents that rely on Zillow more than the MLS sometimes. And I'm like, no, use the MLS, right? People want information. We are no longer the gatekeepers. So provide market updates, seller lead valuation pages, video, which we just talked about. Strategic open houses. Did anyone like my strategic open house approach? 1-for-1 appointment, book another appointment, take them right to it. And by the way, guys, because I had an agent say, well, what if everyone wants to go? Don't offer it to everyone. The first person that says, yeah, I'll meet you at the house at 4:30, stop it. You don't want another open house if someone else is listing. But that is a 1-for-1 appointment. Create targeted farm. Use Remind, which we all have now. You don't have to data dump and do all this work and sorting. Remind is a godsend. So create targeted farms. Interview local businesses. Buy your lead capture page. Join social media groups. You do all of this and you will gain market share. It's not a one-trick pony. There is not one thing you guys could do to dominate. It's a collective and compound effect of doing all of these things. Some may cost a little bit, like you're farming. Most of them are free. And what's great is most of your competitors, agents in your marketplace, aren't doing these simple things. But you have to do them all and you'll get the compound effect. One step at a time. Don't try to implement everything, right? Figure out what's the one thing to do. I would start off with Zillow reviews. Figure that out, master it, make sure you're getting the reviews, and you'll start to see some traction from it. And be dedicated to the process, not the results. Like the NAR study, most agents stop too soon. After a couple months, this didn't work, I moved on to the next, and the next gimmick, and the next gimmick. It's not a gimmick. You have to let things work. You have to give things time to develop and grow. It's not the microwave 30 seconds now. You got to let it bake. So that is it, unless you guys have any questions on how to dominate a town or zip code.